Okay. Testing. You guys are going to hear a lot of background because my cat definitely wants an appearance. His name is Charlie. He's peeking from under the couch. I feel like whenever I get on camera, he just wants the spotlight. One moment. Okay, so welcome back to my channel. For any of you that's new, I am a registered nurse, recently certified as a nurse practitioner and specialized in family medicine. I mentioned in a previous video that I wanted to come in and explain to you guys some really good benefits to help you possibly pay off your student loans, become debt-free like me. For anyone that has been through school, medical school, nursing school, any type of degree, know how much, well, how expensive college is these days, and the costs are only increasing. So I've really grown a passion for financial literacy and learning how I can become debt-free. Through my journey, I started in probably, what was it, 2013 is when I started on this journey, and I'll get to that later in the video. But I really feel like this information is not only good for nurses, but anyone in the medical field, in the different disciplines. And I just encourage you to do some more research after this video. If you find any of it helpful, to go on and get the research, do the research on your own, because there's all sorts of programs out there that will help you repay your loans or fund your education, whether you want to go back to school to get your bachelor's or your master's or even a doctorate degree. So one of the things that I really like to tell people about is the Indian Health Service. Now, you see me looking back and forth. I took some notes, so bear with me. One of the things that I really stressed or like to tell nurses or colleagues that I work with, not even nurses, I know a lot of doctors that utilize this program, which is the Indian Health Service Loan Repayment. So it's a program, and I only can speak on the nurses. I'm not sure about the reimbursement for any other disciplines, but for nurses, working on an Indian Health reservation, with the service loan repayment, they are paying $20,000 per year. Yes, $20,000 each year towards your debt and your student loan debt. The thing about it is there is a 2-year initial contract to sign up with the Indian Health Loan Repayment, and the great benefit about it though is you can extend your contract each year, and each year you get an additional $20,000. So the 2 initial years, that's a total of $40,000, but you have to sign that 2-year contract, basically saying that you will work on that particular reservation and serve for 2 years as a nurse, and they will pay you $20,000 a year. I did, like I said, each additional year you can extend that contract. So this is a really good benefit to be able to extend until your loans are repaid. I really think it's an awesome thing. So because you're receiving all this money from the government, nothing's ever really for free, right? So you are required to pay the federal taxes on the money that you receive. So when you go to file your taxes each year, unfortunately, you do have to claim that as earned income. So what is the catch? Really, there is none. I really wish I can say that there was no catch. And if it was, you know, all cookies and cream, ice and berries, if it was all that and icing on the cake, everybody would be pursuing this as an option to become debt free. But however, when considering the Indian Health Service and working on an Indian reservation, you have to take into account that many of the locations are isolated. Many of them are in the rural parts of the U.S. Where my first duty station was out on the Hopi Reservation in Polaca, and it was very remote, sometimes depressing, and I do have to, you know, add that, but the benefits, it definitely outweighed being in a remote rural area. Everyone's experience will be different, but for me, I really gained I gained a family being out on the reservation, just me and my daughter. And I took her out. She wasn't even 2 years old yet. So you can imagine the stress of a single mom being out on a reservation, no family around. Man, talk about the living situation and just the convenience. I really grew up an appreciation for the city life because I had to travel. It was a one-way trip, an hour one way, 60 miles without traffic to get to Walmart just to do some of my major grocery shopping. I had to travel to Flagstaff, 2 hours away to catch a flight, and it was a very small airport, so most of the time I didn't even get a flight from out of Flagstaff. I'd have to drive 4 hours south to to Phoenix, to catch a flight out of Phoenix. But with all that said and done, you guys, I left the Indian reservation having all of my undergrad student loans paid for, both my federal and subsidized, and both my subsidized and unsubsidized student loans. It definitely, for me, was worth it. One of the things to consider with Indian Health loan repayment is the site scores. Each facility has a different score, and it's from 0 to 25. The higher the score, the more likely you are to have your loans repaid. The more remote the areas are, usually the higher the site score, and the higher the site score, it's usually a better chance of having your loans forgiven. It's all relative when you think about the areas being remote or isolated, and I say that because it just depends on that individual. Some people may prefer being in the mountains and close to ski resorts like Flagstaff and the Grand Canyon, and like being secluded and isolated and immersed in the beautiful culture of the Native Americans, while others, they really need that city life. They need to be able to go to the Galleria and shops and fine dining, which is cool. But I really think, like Dave Ramsey would say, if you live like no one else, you can later live like no one else. And that's just, you know, delayed gratification. I really would encourage anyone to, if you can do it, if you can go out and be on an Indian reservation for a few years and come out debt free, go for it. And I know some of the families would come out, and for example, some of the wives would work, the husbands would, because they wouldn't have many jobs opportunities out in the middle of nowhere. The husband would stay at home with the kids, homeschool, and they really save a lot of money because you're living in a pretty remote area. Rent is cheap. You're getting pretty well compensated and your loans are getting paid off, it's an awesome opportunity. Something else I wanted to discuss was joining the service. So I commissioned in 2013 as a U.S. public health officer. So I was in the Commission Corps as a United States public health officer, and we were Navy ranked. So I went in as a Lieutenant JG. So I was a junior grade 02 for a couple of years, and I received the same benefits. I was active duty. So I received the BAH, the housing allowance, the food BAS, the food allowance. I was able to stay on base. I had free health care, TRICARE, all the same perks of military because we are one of the 7 uniformed services. So as an active duty officer, that was just an extra benefit on top of having the Indian Health Service pay off my loans. So in 2013, when I commissioned, I was already working on the Indian reservation. It took me 2 years to commission, but I went to Hopi with the intention of converting from civilian to an officer. So the transition was pretty smooth. It just took a long time with the application process to become an officer. So when I went to training is OBC, Officer Basic course, was in Maryland, and it was a 2-week course. When I came back, not only did I move from the civilian to the officer, but I was now being paid as an active duty officer member. I got a $25,000 cash sign-on bonus for joining for 4 years. I believe 3 years you get $20,000, and again it's cash. So I took a lot of that money and I threw it towards debt, because not only did I have student loan debt, I had a lot of consumer debt, you guys, credit cards. In college, I didn't have really the support from family. I wasn't being sent, money, and no one was paying my education and expenses. And I accumulated a lot of debt quickly. As a college student, you're not thinking about the future. You're thinking about the short term. I didn't know anything about Sallie Mae and having to repay loans and credit scores and late fees. And oh my goodness, I really had to learn the hard way. So that is one reason I'm really making this video too, is to encourage others to consider ways of not going into debt, but also ways that they can climb themselves out of that hole. And for some, they just thrown their hands up and just said, forget it. I know the rest of my life I'm going to be paying the minimum balance until I die. But I didn't want to have that. I didn't want to live that life. So going into the service, it was, honestly, it was a financial move for me, knowing the benefits and knowing all that was offered to me as an officer. Now, depending on your education and experience will depend on what rank you receive when you commission. Me, I was a baby nurse. I like to call myself a baby nurse a lot because I was a Lieutenant JG in 02 in the service. So, but I moved up pretty quickly. I served for almost 6 years, and when I got out of the service, I was in 03. I was a lieutenant making pretty good money, and was soon to be promoted to an 04. So you can do the math. Go on, what is it, militarypay.com, plug in some. For me, it was hard because I'm a single mother, and not having family around made it difficult. But if you're able to go and have family, have a spouse or if you're choose a city where you have other family and friends that you can rely on as support, then that's not an issue for you. For me, that was my main issue, and why I decommissioned, or why I got out of the service, is because I was unable to find that work-life balance, being a single mother and away from family. I didn't have that village. I didn't have that team. It's a lot of it is great character building. You gain a lot of experience and certifications and things that you can use outside of the service. But really, once you're in, a lot of people really don't want to get out. It's like the best kept secret. So I really think you should look into it, and I'm going to post the link on the USPHS on being a public health officer, as well as the link to Indian Health Service. Another great benefit being a public health officer is that we are non-combatant, so we don't go and fight in war, at least not yet. With the current administration, I don't know if things could later change someday, but currently we don't go to war, and we're not fighting battles. We're not trained to carry weapons, and we're not DOD. We are non-combatant. And I like to explain the public health service as the agency. I kind of compare it to the Red Cross, and we're more like providing relief. Our mission is to protect and promote the health and safety of the nation. And with that being said, we have agencies in immigration. My last job was in immigration, so we're protecting the border. We have the BOP, so we're working with the Bureau of Prisons, making sure, again, that hits on the safety. We're working with the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, just the variety of agencies. So there's a lot of options out there, and they now recently added the VA. I don't know how long that will last, but there's plenty of agencies in which you can serve, and it's in different various cities. My last rotation, or my last duty station, was here in Houston. I was working at the ICE facility, which stands for Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. So I was an officer in a correctional facility here in the Houston area. If you go onto that military website and you calculate an 03 rank on a Navy rank in the city of Houston, I had almost 6 years of experience and dependents, and you can do the math. You can see an average of what I was making, and I was taking home a lot, you guys. I work right now as an RN, and I took over a $2,000 pay cut after taxes. So you can imagine, the pay was great, the healthcare, the benefits, I mean, it was awesome. But really what sold me on the public health service, someone is really begging for my attention. Come on, Charlie. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come say hi. Say hi. So one of the things that really stood out to me as an officer was the post 9/11 GI Bill. So having 36 months of your education paid for, tuition free, post, how do I want to describe this? Because now that I'm not in the service, I also get BAH paid for if I'm in school full time. It's like, for the Houston area, it's like $2,000 a month, BAH, and my education paid for, because I still have some benefits left. Even though I got my master's degree, my family nurse practitioner paid for, with the post 9/11, I still have some educational benefits left over. So really what I want to convey to you is that you have the opportunity of having additional school, graduate school paid for. So right now I have a family nurse practitioner degree. It was a master's program, and my undergraduate nursing program paid for in full. All of my student loans and my consumer debt paid in full. So really, guys, I am 100% debt free. I'm gonna say that one more time because for a lot of people, they don't understand how gratifying it is to not live paycheck to paycheck, knowing that you have student loans coming out each month for years and years to come. Granted, I don't have a house, I don't have a mortgage, so that's a whole nother video, but currently I have no debt, and I really owe that to the years that I sacrificed living on an Indian reservation and working with the different agencies and giving my time as a public health officer. So guys, I will share the links to those agencies in the description bar, and anything that I maybe left out or any follow-up videos that you would like me to make, or anything you want me to talk about, what it's like being a public health officer, working on the Indian reservation, how to choose a reservation, and just any questions you guys have on how I paid off my student loans. Also, I did the Dave Ramsey debt free or total money makeover and the debt snowball. So I've been on this journey since 2013. It's been a long journey. You now reap the benefits of the time that I've spent in the service and isolated and in school, the papers. I mean, it's all worth it in the end. Trust me, you guys. I hope this motivated you all to continue just finding ways to help you either fund your nursing or medical degree and paying your student loans off. Any questions you guys have, just come back or comment and I'll make another video. For those of you who feel like others can really use this information, I would encourage you to share this link or share this video and subscribe. And my main mission is to empower and educate. So I will be back doing more videos. And you guys, I am considering going back to school. So stay tuned for that video.